So Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to all counts related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents, as he became the first former US president to face federal criminal charges. If convicted, he faces possible jail time, but that did not stop him from switching into campaign mode yesterday, directly after his appearance in court, telling supporters in New Jersey the indictment was an attempt to destroy him. For more, Jeremy Ghez joins me live on the programme now. He's a professor of international affairs and an expert in American politics as well. Thanks for finding the time to talk to us today, sir. This was a short, brief appearance by Donald Trump in court. What happens now?
Thank you for having me. So now I guess there will be some discussions on when the trial date is set, whether or not this is going to conflict with the upcoming primaries, how is this going to affect outcomes, and how is this going to affect the overall election. I think that what's really important to think about is to what extent is this the final chapter of Donald Trump, or to what extent is this yet again something he turns to his advantage, presents as evidence that he is the object of a witch hunt, and that people should vote for him because the so-called establishment is after him. We've collectively anticipated the political death of Donald Trump a little bit too many times, and maybe this is one of those occasions, or maybe this is the final chapter. I think that's really the key question today.
And I suppose a part of answering that question is understanding how strong the prosecution's case against Trump is. From the information we have, do you think it's pretty watertight or not?
So this is a very good question. So listen to Bill Barr, his former attorney general, a Republican who has voiced opinions in favor of Trump in the past, and who basically says that this case is very, very strong. Here's what I wonder, though. Is this only convincing those who are already convinced? Said differently, is this basically a case that will convince the Democrats and all of the never-Trumpers who will use this as additional evidence that basically Trump is not fit for office? I'm not entirely sure that the supporters of Donald Trump will really see this as evidence. And again, as often it is the case in the United States, well, we're talking to people already convinced.
Right, but if Donald Trump wants to not just win the Republican nomination for the presidency, but win the election itself, he needs to persuade more than his core base. And I imagine it'll be quite hard for him to persuade swing voters if this trial is going on during the election cycle. Agreed.
And even to try to quantify this, we think the core supporters, as you say, is more or less a big third of the U.S. electorate. And you're absolutely correct that you still need a significant chunk of swing voters, independents or grumpy Republicans, grumpy with regards to Donald Trump, to basically vote for in his favor. Here's one scenario in which this happens, regardless of this, the outcome of this case. If the United States is hit by bad economic times, by a recession, they may come to the conclusion that they cannot trust anyone else. Or let me rephrase that. They cannot trust Joe Biden with the economy anymore, and anyone else would fit the bill. So I think there's a political battle going on. There's a judicial battle going on, but there may be an economic battle going on that may also influence outcomes regardless of where this trial goes.
And finally, and briefly, if you can, do you think Donald Trump could actually end up going to jail?
I think it's a possibility. Never say never. Let me just remind viewers, that it is not impossible to run for president from jail. It happened in 1992. It happened in 1920. So it shouldn't forbid him from running.
Quite a thought. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Jeremy Ghez, talking to us there.